Hello, welcome to 3D printed Pac-Man keychains. I'm Ken from the Digital Services Department. Today we are going to be using the free web-based software called Tinkercad to design a keychain with an image of Pac-Man eating dots. You can also personalize it by adding a name. This is what the keychain will look like once it is printed. This is a simple design intended for beginners. So if your skill set is more advanced, feel free to add your own embellishments to this design. First, let me show you how to create a Tinkercad account. Go to tinkercad.com. If you have an account, then just click sign in. If you don't have an account yet, you will need to sign up. So click join now, and then click create a personal account and sign up with email. And then you'll just have to enter your birthday and then complete the sign up process, and then you'll be ready to go. Once you log into Tinkercad, this is what your screen will look like. If you have projects, they'll show up down here, but we want to click this Create New Design button, and that will create a new project for us. So this is what the work plane looks like here. You'll also notice in the upper left that it will automatically name your project to something that is kind of bizarre. So let's go ahead and click on that and retitle our project. I'm going to call it Pac-Man, and then also add your name to it. That will make it so after you export it, the file will be named Pac-Man and your name, so that will just make it easier for me to know whose it is. Okay, so if you are not familiar with Tinkercad, you may want to take a few minutes to get used to how to move around before we start the project. So one simple thing would just be to drag an object like a box over here and just place it on the work plane. And now let's try to move around. If you right click and drag your mouse, then you can click and drag all around it. You can also zoom in by using the scroll wheel on your mouse. Zoom in and out. And if you click on the scroll wheel of your mouse, then you can move from side to side like this. So this is helpful if you are zooming in like that, but you really want to see the top of it, then you can click on that scroll wheel and move over like that. Another thing is no matter where you are, you can come over to the side here and then click on front, and then it will show you the front. You can, click top and it will automatically snap to the top like that. Okay, so once you are all familiar with how to move around here, we can delete that shape and start with our project. The first thing that I want to do is I want to edit the grid. So let's click Edit Grid down here. Instead of millimeters, I want to use inches. So change it to inches there, and then click Update Grid. And also we want to change the snap of the grid. It will default to 1/8. Let's change it to about 1/32 of an inch there. Okay, cool. So now we can begin the design of the project. First, we want to create a base for the keychain. I am going to use a rectangle, but if you wanted to make yours circular or oval shaped, go ahead and use the cylinder and just apply the same concepts when it comes to resizing it. So I'm going to click and drag the box tool over here, and I'm going to set the dimensions. If you click on one of the corners here, then you'll see it defaults to a 1" by 1" box. I want to change the dimensions. So the X dimension I'm going to change to 3.25 inches. The Y dimension I'm going to change to 1.25 inches. And then the Z dimension over here, if I click there, I can adjust that. And I'm just going to type in 0.125 inches. And so now we can see that it is basically a flat rectangle like that. That's exactly the size that I want it to be. You can change the dimensions if you want, but I find that if you actually want to have this on a keychain with your keys, then this is pretty much the biggest size that you would want it to be. Okay, so now let's go ahead and create the ring for the keychain. I'm going to scroll down through the shapes here, and I'm going to click on tube. So I'm going to drag the tube over here, and I'm going to adjust the dimensions. Again, if I click on the corner of it, I can click on the X and Y and just type in my dimensions. I want 0.3 inches on both the X and Y. And then I'm going to zoom in a little bit and change the Z dimension to 0.125. And notice I made it the same exact height as our rectangle here. So now I'm going to click and drag it over here. I position the tube in the corner of my design. If you want, you can click and drag it to the center there or over here. But basically we just want half of the circle to be open. Just enough room so we can actually loop it through the keychain loop. So if yours looks kind of like this, then we can combine these two. You can either hold down Command A if you're on a Mac, or Control A to select both objects, or you can just draw a box around both of these and that will select both objects. And we want to combine it, which is this tool up here. It's called the group tool. So just go ahead and click that, and then both these objects will become one. And there we see that we have the loop for our keychain. Next, we are going to make Pac-Man's body. So scroll to the top of the basic shapes and go ahead and click and drag a cylinder onto the work plane. I want the X and Y dimensions to be exactly 1 inch. So that's the default. Just make sure that each one says 1 inch and we are good. Let's change the Z dimension though. If we click this little box on top, we can change the Z dimension, and we want to change that to 0.25 inches. And also we want to increase the number of sides here. As you can see, there are 20 sides to this circle. We want to make it a little bit more round than that. So just come over here and click where it says 20. Let's change it to 30 sides. That will make the circle a little bit more round. So yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Okay, next we want to create Pac-Man's mouth. So let's scroll down. We want to get the roof shape for the mouth. So go ahead and click and drag that onto the plane. And we want to rotate the roof here. So I'm going to move over to the side here. And from the side, there are rotation arrows on the top here. So I can either click and drag like that, 90 degrees, or you can just type in 90 degrees like that. And I also want to rotate this roof tool 90 degrees this way, or I guess it would be negative 90 degrees, because I want this point, to go in that way. And so next, instead of a solid object, I want to choose a hole. So this way, when we combine it, it's going to actually take away space from that cylinder that we made earlier. So now let's go ahead and adjust the size. I want to adjust the X dimension to 0.75. And I want to adjust the Y dimension to 0.65 inches. And I think that that creates a good angle. You can click and drag into the cylinder like that, and we can position it, you can position it freehand like this, or we can align it exactly in the center, which I'll show you how to do. Select both of these objects by just clicking and dragging, highlighting both of them, and then click on the Align tool over here. And we want to align it in the center, so click this button here, and now we know that it's, exactly aligned in the center. So now it's just a matter of nudging the triangle to the left or to the right. So depending on how big you want the mouth to be, position it like that. I kind of want it in the center. I think that's pretty good. And again, you can move around the object by doing right click and also by clicking the scroll wheel on the mouse. So I want to combine these two shapes right now. I can just click and drag. It will select both of them, and then I want to do the group tool. So now we have the shape of Pac-Man. Okay, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an eye to Pac-Man. Now, depending on images that you see on the internet, sometimes Pac-Man does not have an eye. Sometimes he does have an eye right about here. So you can feel free to skip this step if you don't want to add an eye, but I will show you how to do that. So let's get another cylinder, and this time let's just click and drag the cylinder which is grayed out up here, because that's like the hole. And now we can resize this cylinder. Okay, I want to adjust both the X and Y dimension to 0.125 inches. And now I want to click and drag, and for the eye you will pretty much just have to place it where it looks good, because there's not really a good way to align the eye. So, just anywhere up there looks fine. Cool. And as you can see, since it's a hole, it is going to take away that space. So again, I'm just going to highlight both of these objects and click Group. And now we'll see that Pac-Man has an eye. Okay, so we have the base, we have Pac-Man's body. Next, I want to show you how to add text if you want to add a name to this. There is a text tool if you scroll down under Basic Shapes. So I'm going to click and drag this text tool over here. And we can see they give us about 4 different font types. So go ahead and choose one that you like. I'm just going to choose this basic one. And you can go ahead and type a name where it says text right here. So to resize the name that we just typed here, I'm going to click on the corner and I'm just going to drag it inwards, and when I do, I'm going to hold down the Shift key. That will keep everything proportional. And then I'm going to click and drag it on top of the base, just so I know how big it will be on the keychain. So if you have a longer name, you might want to actually increase the length of the base as well, just so your name, turns out all right on the 3D print. So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller still, just so I have room to fit Pac-Man over here. So once you get the X and Y dimension of your name correct, you will want to adjust the Z dimension so that it is the same height as Pac-Man. So let's change it to 0.25 inches. And then you'll see it will be more pronounced compared to the base. And also to move it, you can use the up and down arrows or the left and right arrows to place it. So now that our name is on the base, I want to click and drag Pac-Man also to the base right here. I want to put Pac-Man here. Again, if you want to make it so it looks like Pac-Man is like eating your name, you can totally do that. You can place Pac-Man over here and then, move the name over here. In my case, though, I just want to make Pac-Man, kind of in the center, not really. I am going to create some dots that Pac-Man's going to be eating over here. So let's scroll to the half sphere shape and then click and drag that out, just like so. And the dimensions for the half sphere are going to be 0.3 by 0.3 for the X and Y. And then for the Z, we are going to make it 0.2. And so that looks good. The dots are not going to be as tall as Pac-Man, but I think they will turn out looking good. As you can see, they are raised from the base there. So now I'm going to click and drag and position one of the dots kind of, inside of Pac-Man's mouth there. And next I'm just going to copy and paste this dot 2 more times. So I click on the half sphere shape and I'm going to copy. If you are on a PC, it's Control and C. If you're on a Mac, it's Command and C. And then either Control V or Command V to paste it. And what's nice is that when you paste it, it already is like in the same line. So now you can just use the right arrow tool to nudge it a couple times. So I think that looks pretty good. And again, I'm just going to do Command V again, and that pastes another dot. And then I will just nudge it using the right arrow one more time. And so I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so actually if I zoom in on the side here, we can see the dot is coming through. So I just want to move all 3 of these dots a little bit inward. So I'm just going to click on each one and move it 1 to the left, like so. Yep, and now we see that there's nothing coming out of the side here like it was before. So go around your whole keychain at this point and make sure there's nothing weird sticking out of it like that. And then come over and look at it at the top. And so that's what it looks like. Let's combine all of these pieces into one. And to do that, I can do either Control A or Command A. You can also just click and drag and highlight all the objects together, and then come up to the group tool. And now you just grouped all the pieces together. And notice that now they're all changed to the same color. So our 3D printers only print in one color, but because all these objects are 3D, you will be able to read it very nicely when it comes out in the print. Alright, so now that we're done with our design, let's export it. Go up to the upper right corner here and we will click export. And we want to choose STL file. That is the easiest and most compatible file. So choose STL and then it will export, and then you'll see your file is down there, and it's very likely going to be in your computer's downloads folder. Once your design is exported to your computer, let's go ahead and upload that to our 3D print submission form. So go to BALibrary.org and click on makerlab. And then on the makerlab page, scroll down to 3D printing here and click 3D print submission form. And then go through all of these fields and add your library card number, email, your name, and phone number. And then click choose file. And then you'll want to find that STL file that you just exported from Tinkercad. For color, you can choose any of these 3 colors that are available in the drop-down menu. But because this is a special program, I do have yellow filament. So if you do want yellow because of Pac-Man's main color, I will be able to print it in yellow for you. If you do want yellow, then just type yellow in the notes section right here. And then when you submit it, I will know to do yellow for this program. But you can choose any other color that we have available for that. So thank you very much for completing this tutorial. I look forward to seeing your submissions, and take care. Thank you.